Good evening. This is Edward Nan, and it is Saturday evening, the 4th of December, 2021. We are going to bring a short meditation this evening, Saturday, something that we've been pondering on for some time. We'll call this word the winds of change. For I know that we all bear witness to the fact that we're in the time of great change, and the winds of change are blowing. It's interesting, but when the seasons change, you can always sense the prevailing spirit with each seasonal change. Some people just say, well, it feels like winter, it feels like summer. They get this feeling association, but really it has to do with the spiritual overlords that prevail during each of the seasons that come in the earth. And it's very much a spiritual reality. Based upon the various entities that are involved in really overseeing the changes of the season. It's like what we would call when evening comes, I forget what you call it, but as dusk comes and settles, different ones can call it different things. You can call it, in some circles, they call it the time of white night. But it really is a time of the changing of the guard as you come into evening hours. There literally is a changing of the guard of the spirit realm that is in governance, if nothing else, during the season even of each day. The spirit realm is very, very methodical. It's in many ways very organized, and which is God. God is very methodical, very scientific, very organized. And there is that structure that exists in the whole realm of the spirit, even though with the presence of the satanic hosts, as that ramps up, what you sense and feel more and more is a sense of disorder. In God's kingdom, it's a sense of order, structure, authority. But in the world of Satan, it's pretty much disorder and chaos. And we can see more and more as the spirit of chaos begins to fill the earth, chaos and confusion. And what we had seen a few years back when the Lord spoke about the coming infiltration of a deep spirit of hatred that would fill the earth, except for those whose heart were given to the Lord, and there would be that they would prevail against that. But by and large, the majority of the world is going down this path of anger and hatred and malice and wickedness, and it goes hand in hand with the darkness that is filling the earth. It's nothing that we're surprised of, but it definitely is taking hold, taking root, as we see the wickedness begin to manifest more and more in the earth with tremendous acts of violence. And yet, we're only at the beginning of so much of this, and so much is yet to come. And there is so much happening beyond what we're able to see and recognize, and that is our ongoing struggle to come out of the realm of strife and illusion, the realm of the natural, and come up just a bit higher, the realm of the Spirit, the realm of the kingdom, and begin to see the unseen world of God's kingdom, the world of the cloud of witnesses, of the angelic hosts, as they are functioning, especially in the midst of this time of increased and enhanced warfare against the saints of light. And we know it can be so very, very easy to get caught up in what is going on as if or as though that is the reality. And that's a difficult thing for people to grasp, that what you see happening is not really the reality that you think it is. Everyone goes along making judgments and assessments of what's happening in the earth based on what they're seeing, whether it's the demise of the world, the
Engineering.
what?
Engineering.
Yeah, the geo-engineered scenarios going on with the weather systems. All of it, it presents one layer of truth. And most people don't get beyond the one layer of truth that they see. And even on the simplest level, so many do not see anyway, nor do they want to see. But here again, starting at the very basic level of sight, there's still so much that we're missing, because what we see is not truly what is happening. The dominoes on the board, the what is being played out, even though it may seem to have some rhyme or reason or order, is not it's not what is happening. And that's what separates the wise and the foolish virgins and just all of humanity as a whole. Because there is no vision, there is no sight. In fact, in the book of Proverbs it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And we have felt that in our spirits over the last week, as different ones have appeared who were on a course of action led by the Spirit of God, only to get waylaid and distracted by a lot of things, and to find that they've really lost their ability to see and really understand. And so we've seen more and more who are called of God in this walk with Him that are floundering more and more because they're not seeing manifest what they expect in a timeline that they would expect, and nothing is really making a lot of clear sense. And it won't, because on this level, nothing makes sense. On this level of the natural plane, I can tell you, nothing is going to make sense, because it's not understood from this plane of reality. It is understood on a plane on a much higher level. And to unlock the secrets and the mysteries of the kingdom as you go from level to level has to do with the ascension process that each son of God is going through. As you begin to ascend deeper or higher up, that in itself is the very dynamic that unlocks the keys for that level and for you to see. And this is happening more and more because events and things are just beginning to move more quickly. And unless the suns move more quickly in their transitioning, it becomes more and more difficult to make sense out of what is happening. You can come to some kind of general conclusion, but not really understand what is happening and where we are in the timeline of what God is doing in the earth. So it's an ever-present challenge, and Satan works overtime to keep the saints distracted and off key, if at all possible, so that they might miss, what's happening. And then that's the word. The word said, if it were possible, the very elect would be deceived. And Satan is trying his hardest to waylay, sideline, or distract the sons of God, who are the major players in this time, who have the anointing, have the commission to bring in the kingdom. And as much as the enemy can abort that or slow that process down, the greater chance for him to win the battle, at least in his thinking. And that is what we see. The winds, like I said, the winds of change are in the earth. The winds are blowing over the surface of the earth. Each area of the world is being affected by the changes that are happening, but each one in a different way, each one led by a different principality or governing spiritual body that is affecting all of the people on the face of the earth. We're basically seeing a gathering happening on many levels right now, which is something new that is happening, for we haven't seen this before on this level. There is a great ingathering happening. In one respect, you could say the Lord is gathering up the tares, that he might bundle them and cast them in the furnace. And perhaps we have thought of the tares as those which were unbelievers who infiltrated the rank and file of the Christian church. But it goes much more deep than just the church and just a few on a natural plane that may have been sent by the enemy and infiltrated. Because we're talking about an ingathering or gathering up of a whole host of wickedness. And God is using many diverse ways to bring that ingathering. It's not that, that these tares are being summoned by virtue of a commonality of anger or drive to destroy what God has done and is doing in the earth. But God is reaching in, both in the spirit and in the earth, and other planes that exist simultaneously. And he's beginning to extract them and cause them to come together into a type of oneness against the Lord's anointed. But all that is serving to do is to begin to bundle them for the time of judgment that is here upon us. Whether it's those that are channels in the natural plane, or whether it's the spirit realm that has been falling into the earth plane, they're being gathered together. And this is something new that we haven't seen. And so much of it is being done under the guise of illusion. How does it go in Revelation 16 when it talks about the spirit of the frogs? It says, "And I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits like frogs. For they are spirits of demons, performing signs, which go out to the kings of the whole world, to gather them together for the war of the great day of God the Almighty." It's Revelation 16, verse 13 and 14. This is happening. This has been happening, but it's increasing. This ingathering or gathering of the satanic host, of the children of wickedness, has been going on. And God is gathering the evil that he might bundle them and begin to cast them into the fires of judgment. It's interesting, the reference to frogs, because I've seen people, as they've spoken, that the frogs would come out of their mouth. And you realize that we're dealing with something that begins to attach itself to people. I know we've talked about how Satan has a voice in the earth through catching hold in the hearts and minds of the unbelieving and the children of darkness until they begin to sound off and voice the very thing that's been implanted to them and imparted literally through illusion and deception, until they become this massive voice of darkness in the earth, while God is raising up the sons of light, who are the voice of grace and overcoming, the grace to be and become, being spoken at the same time. But the only way that the children of darkness, the children of the earth, are really being led is through a great deal of deception that is pouring out of the mouth of the dragon on a very deep level. You can say, well, these are spirits like frogs, unclean spirits, spirits of demons. And what do? They perform signs, which goes out to the kings of the world to gather them together. Believe me, this is happening, even if we still don't quite associate it correctly, don't really see the deep underlying currents of what is flowing out. But this is most definitely happening. The deception, the illusion, the lies, the darkness are flowing forward, literally out of the mouths or intentions of these spirits of frogs. Very, very interesting. But it's happening on so many levels, and that has been the difficult challenge in walking with God into the deeper things that he has for the sons. Because as we all understand, you can't rest in your achievements or your relationship with God that you have today and assume that it will carry you forward into tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. Because it does not. It does not. You come up short. Because God is continuing to move. And unless we keep track with him, we begin to lose our sight. We begin to see it in part. And that becomes a problem. It has never been any more important than it is now to see, to really see. and to really begin to understand exactly what is happening. Well, I can tell you what's happening. It's COVID-19, or it's the Russians wanting to invade Ukraine, or the Chinese want to invade Taiwan, or Biden wants to be Biden, which is bad enough as it is. I mean, you can say, well, these things are all happening. But we've got to come up a little higher, because they're only a surface level of what is happening. Something far greater is happening in what God is doing in beginning to bring a finality of judgment. I woke up a few nights ago and I was thinking about America and how it was founded upon a drive and hunger for freedom and for the freedom of religious expression, and really literally a hunger for God. Was it a pure thing? Well, in one sense, yes, because God was establishing something that he was doing in the earth. But in another side of it, was there a lot of darkness and a lot of, impure around this periphery? Certainly, because there were men of darkness, the Nephilim, that were also in the midst of what was being created as America, that left their imprint. And then you come unto this time, and you see it all just kind of coming together. And you have to be able to sort it out and understand what we're dealing with. There is no quick and simple answer. The only answer is that the sons must see. They must see and comprehend what the Father is truly doing. The interesting thing is that God's moving is really not hidden, but it's hidden to those who don't have eyes to see. It's hidden to those who are in the transition of coming out of one level of sight into another, to really begin to see very clearly. Now more than ever, it's imperative to walk on the plane of spirit. If we walk in the realm of the soul, we will be prone to the deception that is happening in the earth and in the realm of the senses, which are being controlled by the spirits of darkness, that we know. But we know that in Ephesians 5 it says, all things become visible when they're exposed by the light. For everything that becomes visible is light. And God is exposing the workings of the enemy on every level. Government, media, the church, as we've known it, and the satanic seed themselves. Everything is beginning to be exposed to the light, which cannot be stopped. We have long since passed over the threshold into what I would call critical mass, a point of no return. The spirit which has been working in the earth and the sons of disobedience is moving down the road much more quickly now. This spirit which has been sent into the earth is tied into the unfolding judgments of God and is causing a gathering to take place. And unbeknownst to the enemy, this will get up close and personal very soon. So it's going to be a challenge for everyone as this timeline begins to unfold, because more and more decisions are going to have to be made. with respect to your relations, your relationships, how you open yourself up or don't, how you guard what you have as God brings you into a deeper realm of sight and vision, because we cannot go further without which God touches the saints and opens their eyes on a deeper plane, and you begin to see what was hidden from your sight, and it all comes together. But I can tell you this, that we've tried very hard to make sense out of things on one level, and have had no luck, and then have found that as we came up to another level, all of a sudden, things began to make sense. Things began to come together. And that's what we are dealing with here. We're passing through a realm of darkness. We're passing through a realm of chaos that is filling the earth, no doubt. And we're coming to a place where all of a sudden things are coming together and you're seeing, but it doesn't come easily. And that which has been hidden from your eyes is beginning to be revealed by the Spirit of the Lord. Our cry goes out before God, Abba, Father. Lord, if you don't do it in us and through us, we cannot do it. We do not have it in ourselves to achieve what you've called us to be and to do. But you do, Lord. You can complete that which you've begun. And so very carefully, we hold lightly what we see, what we sense, because we know that we're still seeing in part, but that soon will pass away. I think that's about all we want to talk about this evening. There is a gathering that's coming. There's no doubt about it. And we see it happening day in and day out with the news and the media. We see events happening that would never have happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago even. Things that, are so contradictory to a true functioning society. But really, these are the days of lawlessness. As it was in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, so it is during this time. A spirit of lawlessness is in the earth, and it's going to continue to grow. But God is purging. He's purging the earth. He's purging the sons. And the tares are being bundled for the fire of judgment. That's literally Daniel's vision. The stone cut out of the mountain has literally hit the image of the feet, the image at the feet. The last kingdom in Daniel's vision. And it's in the earth today. But we're in a time where things are being brought down and crushed. So we stay open and pliable, Lord. Open for you to teach us so we don't get locked in and say, I understand, I already know. Lord, open our eyes that we might see more clearly into the kingdom, into what you're doing, so that it will all begin to make sense, that we'll see rhyme and reason out of what seemingly appears to be chaos. The enemy may have the world, by and large, under a cloak of darkness and deceit, but he does not have the saints whom he has sent under that same illusion or restraint. This is the day that the enemy is being shattered, not shall be or will be, but is being shattered. So, Ann and I send our blessings. We will attempt to get another word out here very soon. So we bless everyone. Thank you for listening. Amen.